What's going on, guys? It's Eric Turner from Cover One. It's Monday, about 11:20 at night. I wanted to start off this week's podcast/videocast with some shout-outs. First being the Numb Bills Fan Podcast with Adam and Dave. Good friends of mine, guys who, I do a live show on Wednesday nights on Facebook. Have some good stories, done at the tailgates and whatnot. So definitely a big shout-out to them. Follow them and their website. They're all over the internet, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. The other podcasts are the AFC East Bros with Gary and Kyle Smith. They do a great job of covering the AFC East, not just the Bills, obviously, and they're very knowledgeable, know a lot about all four teams of the division, and they're very, unbiased, and they do a great job of bringing you content for not just the Bills, but the whole AFC East together. So with that said, we'll start this week's show. I'm here with JV. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, boss? How you doing?
Good. We got a lot to get to, so we're going to jump right in. The game was, quite the disappointment. Bills lost 41-25 to New England, dropped our record to 4-4. One of the big stories or headlines from the game were the penalties because the timing of them were just terrible. The Pats ended up with 10 penalties for 116 yards, and the Bills finished with 12 penalties for 84 yards. So you can tell that, this was a big part of the game, and this crew called a lot of those penalties. So where do you think those penalties fell as far as coaches or players in this game, John?
I think both get their equal share. I mean, think about it. There was communication problems 2 plays in a row.
Right.
You don't like to see that. Some of the timing of these penalties were drive killers. They were, they saved drives for New England. So it was a rough game, and sometimes you get a bad crew. So,
right.
We could blame it sometimes on that. But at the end of the day, the fouls were committed, and it definitely hampered our, the rest of the game for us.
Yeah, it slowed down the game, obviously, and it's one of those things that's been talked about. It's been a hot topic lately just because of, the ratings being low, and the game has just been slow. It just feels it gets, brought down to a drag. And, that is disappointing as a fan. And
it's tough to watch.
It is. It's very frustrating to watch. And it's definitely taking a toll. And that's why every week, you see it every week. It's definitely a topic that the NFL is aware of. So,
they certainly got to do something about it because it's like I love football almost more than anything. And,
right.
When it gets to the point where it's like, man, it's tough to watch some of these games because you don't know what a catch is. Everything's a penalty. So you just hate to see the flow of the game, get tarnished a little bit like it has been, and hopefully they'll do something about it.
Yeah. So with that out of the way, we're going to start with the offense. It was another disappointing game in my eyes from the offense. The offense didn't complement the defense well, and it put the defense on the field a lot. But it wasn't as far as time of possession goes. It wasn't much of a difference between the two teams, but you can tell that the offense struggled. When you look at Tyrod Taylor's numbers, according to Pro Football Focus, he was 19 of 35 on aimed passes. So that basically they subtract like throwaways, any type of throw that he was hit as he was throwing it, and drops. So they subtract all that. So on the game, he was 19 of 35 for 183 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. He didn't turn the ball over, which is good, right?
That's been his MO almost the season. So, that's like his saving grace right now.
It really is.
It's if he turns the ball over once yesterday, I got big problems with Tyrod, and I don't want to say I have big problems with him already. I'm not quite there yet, but with a $100 million contract, this is when you want to see him come to the table and shine. When the chips are down, some of your guys are out.
Right.
I don't want to see it be too much for him, and at this point, it's overwhelming him. It seems like.
Yeah, I was looking at his numbers compared to the league, and of course, take into account the system, take into account, his lack of receivers and weapons on offense. But for the season, all right, he has 1,480 yards passing, 9 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, which ranks him 27th out of 28th for QBs who have taken 50% of the snaps, dude. 27th out of 28 as a passer. So strictly on passing, in this system, yeah, it's good he's not turning it over, but is that enough to win games? Because, yeah, he hasn't turned it over in the last 2 games, but have we won?
Exactly. And okay, you're gonna run that formula with Mike Gillislee and Jonathan Williams. At some point you have to be a quarterback.
Right.
You have to be able to throw the ball down the field, down the middle, down the seams, all over the yard,
Yeah.
and complete them. The problem is right now is he's overthrowing guys, he's one hopping guys, he's putting guys in positions to get injured. And that's what good quarterbacks don't do.
Right.
They lead their guys, they put their receivers in good positions to not get hit hard and take the big hit and things like that. So, he needs this. I don't know if it's footwork, Eric, or if it's the jitters, or he's just not comfortable, but not seeing enough out of the passing game. I think he can manage a game good,
Yeah.
but I need him to be a passer, and I'm just not seeing it.
Right. And on the screen, you'll see his passing distribution chart. So, I mean, most of his passes were, from 0 to 9 yards. It was a short passing game. He had a couple deep shots to, I think, Powell at least a few times. One of them I thought he should have caught. He got his hand on it. I thought he should have brought that down. And if you throw Sammy in there, that's probably a touchdown. But,
Yep.
I mean, so you can see a lot of his passes were, they're short passes. And I know it was raining hard. And I know that didn't have the weapons again, but I mean, these are excuses I'm making for him. But when it comes down to it, as a passer, he's not cutting it. And I mean, like I said, I haven't looked at the all 22 yet. It came out a little late. I wasn't unable to take a look at it before we went on live. But I'm sure that there's going to be passes he missed. There's going to be reads he missed. I mean, it's normal for him. It's par for the course, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, it's been his MO for the most part.
Yeah.
At least for this season. And last season, I didn't get enough to gauge him as a passer. I mean, what I seen last year is kind of trickling into this year as far as, you're not going to see a 300-yard passing game from Tyrod. It's just not going to happen. And if it does, I don't even want to say in a loss, because yesterday you would have expected him to have high yardage at least, and all that. I mean, it was like a quarter and a half of garbage time yesterday, and he still had like 180 yards passing. Like,
I thought that
I
too,
get
man.
EJ came in, but
I agree.
Like,
I totally agree. I thought, with how we got behind in score on the scoreboard, that he would actually have at least over 200 yards,
Like, it seems like in this day and age in the NFL, like 200 yards should be like more than the norm.
Right.
Like if you're under 200, it's like that's a bad game. And so has he put up a 200 or 300-yard game this year, Eric?
No.
You'd be able to better share. Okay, so what's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I can make excuses after excuses for him not having the weapons. I think teams are playing him different this year. And, for the first couple of games, we struggled to run the ball. Then we got the running game going, and it helped him a little bit. But I think now that there's enough film on Anthony Lynn and the concepts he's running, that it's slowing down. It's, teams are catching up with what he's trying to do on offense. So I think that has something to do with it. But, the NFL defenses have definitely, started playing him differently. And the Patriots, they did that. They made him play from the pocket again. And he struggled, especially when, like I said, the weather was bad. He did struggle a little bit. But he did end up, getting into the end zone or whatnot. I wanted to bring that up. I actually brought the wrong one up. Let me bring
And what's funny, just to add to that, I'd be happy with like 250 to like 300 total all-purpose yards from him.
Right.
If I can get that out of him, like I'll take 180, 190 yards if I'm getting 80 to 90 yards on the ground. I know that's a lot, but with him, I think that's reasonable.
Right.
I think that's doable. So they need to incorporate and cater more to his strengths, and that's him running the ball. How many rollout bombs or something like that do we see? We don't see that kind of play from him. I feel like at least something like a crossing route with him rolling out with never see that kind of stuff. Using his mobility has to be a focal point going forward.
Right, and I think they have done it almost too much, honestly, because I broke down a play earlier today. It was one of the passes from, I believe, the first drive. They, tried getting it to Reggie Bush in the corner of the end zone. He rolled out to the left and, actually got it to Bush, but Bush dropped it. But I do think they roll him out a good amount, but it seems pretty obvious when they're going to do it. They'll line up,
Yeah, not so much in the red zone. Like I'm talking,
Yeah. Right.
middle of the field type.
Right.
Go for it.
And I'm kind of with you, and I'm echoing what we said last week and repeating that I don't think they ran him enough. Honestly, I don't think they ran him on design runs enough. Again, this week was, he had a few attempts. I think it was 5 attempts for 48 yards, but they were all scrambles. They weren't designed runs. So that bothers me when you're not going to have Shady McCoy and you have Gillisley, who got banged up a little bit, but more of a downhill runner. That the defense has a scouting report on Gillisley. He's a one-cut guy that gets downhill. So why not use that zone read? Why not use that option and all that? So I was kind of surprised not to see that this week.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that we should have exploited that. This would have been a week like, okay, and we touched on it before we were live here, the usage of Gillisley this week. And was he a little banged up after that big hit by Hightower? We don't know, but again, I seen him on the sideline with his helmet on next to the coach, ready to go. So I don't know. I would like to see more of him. And I know you said that he's got a decent amount of touches in the first half, but to me, maybe just the flow of it again didn't feel right.
Right. So here's Tyrod's touchdown. Again, he didn't have any passing, but he did have one on the ground. It was a 4th down by the Bills here, and they showed an empty set. It's something I talked about in my breakdown and scouting report prior to the game. When the Bills went to empty set in prior games and the prior 2 games for the Patriots, they went to man coverage, and that's great because it makes it easier for the quarterback to make his reads. But what it also does is it allows him to, if he has a lane, he can run, and most of those guys are, with their backs turned playing man coverage. So, and that's exactly what happened on this play. You'll see them in man coverage. Tyrod jumps back. I mean, he wanted to go to Clay. I think actually a couple plays before he actually threw that pass to Clay. So this is it looks like it was a designed run. And he does a heck of a job of, getting up the field. He did get a little help on this play by possible hold on Jamie Collins, but nonetheless, I mean, he's fast. When you get him in space, man, he's gonna make the defense pay.
I mean, he runs like a 4.4 speed.
Right.
Let's use that. I mean, coming from the quarterback position, so hard to defend that. And the way he moves too, he doesn't usually take the big hit either when he's running. So, it's tough. It's like a double-edged sword a little bit. Do you want to get him out there, and have him vulnerable like that, or just use his strengths, and I think at this point, squeeze everything you can out of him. We got to get everything we can get out of each player, Tyrod included. And if that means using your feet more, let's go.
Absolutely. And you'll see here, Jamie Collins and Dante Hightower are showing double-A blitzes, all right? And Hightower tries to jam rush on Eric Woods. So he's trying to knock him off his spot so that Collins can come around as the looper here. And he does. But you'll see.
Although face mask
right there. So I don't know how this ref right here didn't see that. I mean, he looks like he's looking right at it, honestly.
Right.
Bill's caught a break, obviously. It's a nice play. And again, it almost looks like it's designed because Tyrod knows it's man coverage. It's pretty obvious. And he just pulls it down. And, instead of cutting here, he cuts it back to the right. And I think it's Branch right here that over pursues and makes it really easy for Tyrod to get in the end zone.
No chance.
Yeah. So I think it was one of those plays. You got to give it to him 4th down. That's a gutsy call for him to run that. So
big time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was nice to get him in the end zone, though. You can't complain about that. That was a big touchdown for us.
Absolutely, and he knew the situation, and took advantage of it. Like you said, we might have got lucky there, and but you could call holding on almost every play. But at the end of the day, we scored, and we just need to see more of that going forward.
Definitely, no, I agree, man. So we'll move on to Gillisley. I know you kind of touched upon it a little bit already. The run game there's 26 attempts for 167 yards. They did get 3 touchdowns in all. They forced 7 missed tackles. And, I mean, that was a 6.4 yard average. So that was really good. They ran the ball well. And I know you kind of talked about that, before we went live. And you wanted to see Gillisley, be that main horse and carry the ball a lot. And he did. He carried it 12 times for 85 yards and he had 1 touchdown. Most of those touches were in the first half when the Bills still were, close enough. And 42 of his yards were between the tackles. And that's what he brings to this team. We don't have Carlos Williams anymore, so we don't really have an inside presence as far as run game goes. Do you like the type of run, style that he brings? I know you've been a fan, and you watched a lot of him, I'm sure, in college, being a Georgia Bulldog fan. You probably saw him a lot down at Florida, right?
Oh yeah, I love Mike Gillisley. I think he's produced every time we've asked of him for the most part, and he's one of those guys, one cut, he's up the sideline, and a lot of times he'll run the defense.
Right.
So, and going back to his Florida years, I mean, you see the same thing you saw then, you see now, and that's that cut, getting to the outside, and then up the sideline, and here we go right here. I mean,
it's a pretty play. It's a really pretty play here.
He's a smooth player. He's a tough player. And that's why I would like to have seen him yesterday get the ball more early, right. And I don't agree with the 3 points, going for 3 points on the 3-yard line to be that Bush league.
Right.
We're playing the Patriots, Rob and Rex. We need to score points.
Right.
And at the 3-yard line might be the closest we get all day. So we got to take advantage of that. We have to have a play call in the playbook that is a guarantee for them, as close as we can get as a guaranteed play, and we run it.
And this play, I really
like it.
I really like this play because at first it got our athletic line out in space, and just a counter tray by Gillisley. You'll see Clay pulling, and you'll see Eric Wood with a nice kick out block on Jabal Sheard right here. It's nice having a center that can pull. I know he's struggled in the pass game, but he's been pretty good in the run game. Picks up Sheard there, and Clay follows and picks up Hightower, gets a piece of him. Allows Gillisley to get up the sideline. So that was a really nice play, and here it is from a different angle. I mean, a good read by Clay by following, going wide and getting up in the alley for Gillisley.
I mean, check that block out by Woods. I think that's Wood on the perimeter there. If you can back that up a little bit.
A little more.
He first he dives at his legs, rolls him up a little bit, gets back up and pushes him down the field another 10 yards. Check out the receiver on this, man.
Yeah, go back a little more.
I mean,
so right here, is that Hunter?
Yeah, I don't know, whoever that is, man, made a hell of a tap.
Yeah.
He dives here, and then he gets up and he blocks him another 10 yards down the field.
Right, and that's Hunter on Eric Rowe.
Look at that. I mean, that's what you need from your receivers. He could have gave up on just diving at the legs.
For sure, good eye on that.
That was nice.
No, that was a good play by Hunter. And he's not necessarily known for being a blocker too, but you got to give him some, A for effort on that play, right?
Absolutely. Good job with that, for sure.
Yeah, and just, I like Gillisley because you can run that zone concept. I know last year we ran a lot of pin and pull, and you'll see something like that here with as a perimeter edge run. And this was nice. This is something that we haven't really shown too much this year. You got Gillisley, you got Felton in the backfield, and then you got, I think this is Reggie Bush right here. And they just, get a couple pulling linemen, and Gillisley plants and gets right upfield. So that's
what you're getting from Gillisley, Eric, is one cut up the field. Like if he was in, Mike Shanahan or Gary Kubiak's offense, he'd be 1,000-yard. I mean, he could be a 1,000-yard rusher on our team.
Yeah,
we'll put him in that zone concept full time, 1,000 yards.
This is a really good block by Incognito right here. Gillisley, good vision, kept cutting up field up in that gap. So it was a really good run, and I like him, man. And 12 carries, is that enough to get in rhythm? Is that enough to
No,
I don't think it is either. And I think he can do better. I mean, like you said, he only carried it 12 times, but 85 yards. That's quite effective. And here's another good run by him.
And I didn't like that in the week I read oh, we're gonna ride the hot hand at running
Right.
back. I don't know if you read that or not or
Yeah, I heard
seen
about
that,
that.
but like what? Like it's Gillislee. I don't want to hear ride the hot hand. We're playing Gillislee because he's gonna be our hot hand.
Right.
Like with all respect to Reggie Bush from his USC years, like them years are long gone, man. And I personally would like to see us fill that role maybe in a different way. And to be
Right.
honest with you,
It's another good zone block here by the offensive line. They're all stepping to the right. See Clay, making his money, sealing that edge, helping Jordan Mills
yep.
out, seals it there, and then Gillisley. Well, hold on, let me back it up a little bit. How about Felton? I mean, it's not the most effective block, but he's taking it on, with the proper technique and shoulder, and it gives Gillisley that little alley for him to get upfield, and then he's not afraid of contact. And here comes Patrick Chung looking to fill, and Gillisley plants and just lowers his head and just goes right through that arm tackle. So another hard run by Gillisley, man. He's fun to watch, man. And they use him in many different ways. Here's another,
What's the down and distance on a lot of these plays? Because, that's the thing I like to look at a lot is give me the quarter, give me the down and distance and things like that, and let's piece it together. Because if you're showing me a 25-yard run out in the fourth quarter with 8 minutes left, down 38, I don't even care about that. But, and Gillisley, you should have seen the ball more. I know I'm being a dead horse, but you should have seen the ball more early. That's,
I like this
that's what
formation,
frustrates me.
man. I mean, they got two tight ends here. It's unbalanced, so they put Jordan Mills over here, and this is Clay and Nick O'Leary and Gillisley as right to the right of Tyrod Taylor and Bush in the backfield. This is a really nice play, and they just hand it off. They show a little triple option, but they give to Gillisley. And, I mean, whether that was a plan give or not, it's hard to tell. It looks like Tyrod was actually, reading Chris Long there.
Yeah.
But either way, look, he makes a nice cut, and he's getting upfield. On first down, he's getting upfield, and he's getting you in good, down and distance for second down. That's what, 2nd and 3, 2nd and 4. That's what you want from the run game.
I'll take – what's the difference between a 7-yard pass and a 7-yard run? I mean, there's nothing really different about that. I mean, play to your strengths, we could have probably ran the ball and made that more of a game instead of passing it the way we were. We could have picked up more yardage running it and possibly – and at the end of the day, that wears down defenses too, man. So, we just got away from the run too early, and we got to let the game get away from us too early.
Right. So we're gonna move on to the defense. I know there's some hot takes that you have on some of the defensive players and what happened in the game. We're going to start with Shaq Lawson. He played 37 snaps. He looked a lot better. His motor, he looked like he had a better motor. And, yeah, I know he took a penalty. He should have taken 2 penalties, honestly, but he did get a sack. He had a QB hit, 1 QB hurry, an assist, and 1 stop. What was your thoughts on his second game in the NFL?
I think it was, I seen a lot more from his motor yesterday than I did the first week.
Right.
There was still some times I thought he was playing with a lot of control. Seemed like he was in the same spot as some other people were, and I'm going to have to take a look at that. But, he was active. I seen him chasing the ball, he was getting some pressure. So, the arrow's pointing up. I still think, like you touched on it a little bit there, there was a couple key penalties, though, that you don't want to take a step forward and 2 back, and it's certainly possible that's what happened. I think as good as his sack was, it helped us, is 10 times hurt more is giving up that, we got him off the field on 3rd down, and what happens?
Right. I mean, they used him a lot of different ways.
Passer.
They used him a lot of different ways, which was good, and I think part of that was because Alexander went down with an injury. But on this play, they show a nice little twist between Lawson right here and Kyle Williams. And, it's nice to see that because you see Kyle, he splits that and just easily gets a sack here. I mean, and it was only a 4-man rush, and it was a nice twist, by a guy that's, only played 37 snaps in his second game. That's a lot of snaps for, missing most of the year, not really having a lot of practices. But he was effective when he was in. I mean, yeah, he took a couple dumb penalties, but this was a really nice play, and I like the way they used him in this game. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I think Kyle Williams really helped him out, being out there with him.
Right.
It seemed that he played off Kyle pretty good yesterday. And he should be good. He was a top 20 pick, right?
Right. Yeah.
So he's had time to sit in the chamber for a little bit and get right. So I expect him to be playing as good as he may be playing right now, or even better. So
Right.
I expect big things from Shaq. We need him. Especially. I mean, Zoe, I think, had some sort of a soft tissue injury yesterday,
Right.
which, at his age, those can linger for, a whole season.
Right. And you'll see, like I said, they use him different ways. He dropped in coverage quite a bit, in some, zone blitzes and whatnot. You'll see him drop into coverage here. And, he keeps the ball in front of him. He looks fluid dropping like that, man. And something he did a lot at Clemson. Look at him open his hips and then, find the ball, and he goes and helps to make the tackle there. I mean, that's first down play that he dropped, and what did they even gain a yard on this play? I mean, that's nice to have, man. And this was our backup player. He shouldn't even be playing in this game, really. It should be Alexander. And
Right, yeah. I mean, they had him lined up all over the field.
right.
They had a middle linebacker, outside linebacker, DN. So that was nice to see that they trust him to put him in those different roles.
And here's the play that I thought should have been flagged. And I think that even the commentator alluded to it. I mean, I know it's slow motion, but I'm surprised I didn't get called on Tom Brady. I mean, that's a pretty late hit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Big Tom usually gets those calls.
Yeah, right.
But and maybe it was Barsal might have gotten in the way. His big butt might have gotten in the way of the ref there. But every once in a while, Tom needs to get hit, and it wasn't egregious.
Right. And see, this is an interesting package here. You have Lawson as a middle linebacker, and this is the play where Preston Brown gets a sack right here off the edge. But by bringing Lawson up the middle like that, you see here comes, I think it's
blows
James
up
White.
the back.
Yeah, he takes the back. So basically, this package put man on man. So you see one-on-one across the board, and I'm pretty surprised. Preston Brown isn't really known for his blitzing, but he beat left tackle Nate Solder really well. Runs arc there,
He did,
back and makes a big hit on Brady, which I thought he should have tried for the strip.
Yes.
But, I mean, those are the type of plays you need to make because you have a free shot at him right there, and he's not even seeing you coming.
Yeah, you got to get a strip there. I mean, you got to rip at that ball because look at that, right from behind. I mean, that's the play we have to have, and it didn't even look like he went for it. He went right for the sack. So, but he's not a typical. He's not used to pass rushing, at least from what I understand. And so maybe that's not an instinctive move he made. He saw Tom Brady and just jumped on him. So good for him.
Right.
Good play though, nonetheless. And like you said, Shaq came in and blew up the middle, and he was able to force Brady outside for a sack.
No, that was a pretty play. Nice design on that. And here's I think this is a really nice pass rush by him. I like this. You see him quick off the ball, gets upfield.
Yep.
And then he sees that Brady's drop is done, right? So he's looking to get rid of the ball. You see, he just plants, throws Nate Solder, and then attacks the ball. I mean, the ball goes incomplete. I think this is right before. This is on the drive before the half. So, of course, it ends badly, but it's a really good jump by him, man. I like to see that. And again, it's another 4-man rush, and you see there's a game inside by the two deep tackles. So it was a really nice play, and Brady definitely felt that pressure in the pocket closing in on him.
Yeah, I mean, just to get him off balance, right? That if you can just back it up just a little bit there. He, when he plants there, that's the first round pick you're getting out of him right there.
Right.
That's what you're getting out of your first round pick. That play right there, that type of athleticism.
Look what he's doing to that tackle. Yeah.
I mean, look how low he is. The leverage there is,
Yep.
and then to have the wherewithal to shed his man and then attack the ball. So to see that's very encouraging. So like I said, the arrow's pointing up.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he's responsible for BCR, which it means he's responsible for any bootlegs, counters, or reverses. Does a good job of staying at home. You see that? I think this is a guard or center peeling back, and I know you're a big fan of that kind of play, but nice fake here, but he stays at home and then attacks. He sees, he trusts his eyes and he just attacks Brady, and Brady has to get rid of it before he wants to. And you have Zach Brown in coverage down here, so I mean, it's not like the guy was completely open. So,
right.
I mean, Shaq Lawson, he made plays, that didn't necessarily show up in the stat column. That was a really nice play of staying home there. And this, I believe, is his sack here. I know it's 38-17 right now, but I believe this is his sack here. And what happened here is it looked like he was Solder was trying to cut him, which typically means that it's a quick pass. And based on these routes, the quarterback's supposed to get rid of it. Tom Brady holds it a little longer than he should. But, I mean, again, look at him turn that corner. That's pretty special, man. You got to flat right at him. I mean, that's beautiful.
And I look at just the way he turns the corner right there.
Right.
That a lot of guys, that's where they lose the speed and they lose the angle right there.
Yeah,
He's
man.
got it, and now it's just straight across, in an attack, and that's what you get out of a first round pick with that kind of athleticism. So, I need to see this show up in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter,
right,
and fourth quarter. But kudos to Shaq Lawson. That shows me he's still playing hard late in the game in a blowout.
Right.
And I like that. That's encouraging.
Here's a play where he actually takes the penalty. So we're going to get some of the bad stuff here. It's a deep pass to Hogan, and he gets called for roughing the passer here. It was extremely late. I don't know what he was thinking.
Yeah.
The ball's already out. I mean, it looks like he pulls up. Still, why is he even doing that? I don't know if he stumbled or.
I just don't think he knows what he can get away with yet. I think he just realized, oh, okay, I can't do that in the NFL.
Yeah. Especially
you might get away. Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Of all people, so yeah, that's more of a learn by experience thing. So hopefully we won't see that moving forward. So, but pretty good game all in all from Shaq considering the circumstances.
I was pretty impressed. And you take away the penalty, I was pretty impressed with what he did. So, like I said, jumping from the first game, which I think he played 13 snaps, to 37 unexpectedly, pretty good job from Shaq. Unlike the next player I'm going to mention, and it seems like it's a weekly occurrence with Stephon Gilmore, your boy Stephon. You said
that's my boy for. That's got to be my boy.
You love his game apparently. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So what you sent me is Stephon Gilmore is still garbage and he needs to be benched. And right now, like I said, the All-22 came out and everyone's been, Twitter's been ablaze with how he gave up at the end of the Hogan touchdown. We'll get to that. For the game, he was targeted 5 times. He allowed 4 of those catches for 105 yards. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad would you say Stephon Gilmore's year is?
Years on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 3 or 4, Eric.
Yeah.
And from your top flight corner, supposedly that's going to lose you a game,
right?
To and afford one single player to do that. That's to be our top flight player. I mean, and the thing about it, Eric, is we see it week in and week out, whether it's line up the big play and then him running backwards, pointing the finger, or if it's a holding penalty, and he's turned around. There's just so many, and he's not making enough plays to justify. Like, corners are going to get beat. It's the NFL. It's just going to happen.
Right.
But make your play though. And only game I've seen him make a couple plays was the Arizona game, and those were like shooting fish in a barrel type deals. And he dropped one, if I'm not mistaken, to that game that he should have had. So, and me, Eric, my main focus is college, and so I've known about him for a long time, and it's the game that I keep referring back to, and it's the SEC championship, Auburn, South Carolina,
right?
Cam Newton, and he's doing the same stuff to him then. And I get it, Cam, but you're a first round pick too, so
right.
I've been seeing it for too long, Eric, and it's still the same story.
No, I hear you, and I mean, I'm on the fence. I do think he has his warts, is what they call it. He has his his moments in coverage, especially this year, because like I'm looking at the Pro Football Focus numbers, 2015 versus this year, and this is through 8 games, and so I'm gonna rattle these off and tell me what you think, because I was kind of surprised when I looked at these numbers. All right, so last year through 8 games, he was targeted 60 times. He allowed 31 receptions for 428 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions last year. All right, so this year through 8 games.
Through 8 games last year. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. He gave up 23 receptions on 38 targets. So he's being targeted less, but he allowed 23 receptions for similar yardage, 414 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. All right. So the numbers are pretty similar. He's not being targeted as much, 60 last year, 38 this year. And he allowed 31 receptions last year, 23 this year. Same yardage though. And that's where I think a lot of fans are, alarmed, because that yardage difference is okay. This year it's 18 yards of reception he's given up. Last year was 13.8. So that right there is alarming. So he was giving up a lot of big plays this year down the field. And for a guy that wants to be paid top 5 money, you can't have that, and that's why I think his game has been scrutinized, and rightfully so, because he wants to be paid like that. And he's in a contract year, and he has not lived up to that billing.
How do you justify paying someone what's he going to want, Eric? 10, 12, $15 million a year?
He's going to want Josh Norman money for sure. I mean, his numbers are, I think, actually even better.
Really? I mean, how do you justify it?
Right.
And maybe I'm just, I don't watch enough around the league maybe, but, I mean, I watch a fair share of football, and at least I see, guys making plays on the ball, Eric. And again, right. I'll always revert back to that with him, is that he doesn't make plays on the ball. And that's what's the most frustrating piece about it. Like I said, because these corners are going to get beat, but there's got to be a point when you make your play, and it's got to be a big play in a big moment. And again, not seeing it.
Right. No, I agree. And I'm going to pull up some footage of him from this last game. And it's, again, all 22 isn't out yet, so it's the broadcast angle. So keep that in mind. We can't really tell, what kind of coverage or help he was supposed to have. I know the talk this week, and we'll get to the Hogan touchdown, but the talk this week was that Meeks possibly blew the coverage, but then they came out today, and Rex Ryan straight said no, it was Gilmore that blew the coverage. So we'll go ahead and take a look at some of these plays. Turn that down. So this was earlier in the game, 3rd and 10 with 8 minutes in the first quarter, and it's a similar formation, and you'll see in the next clip, to the touchdown that they threw to Hogan. So it's a 3-by-1 formation. You have 3 receivers on this surface here. This is Edelman, Amendola, and Gronkowski. Hogan isolated to the top of the screen. And usually these type of formations, these 3-by-1 formations, are isolation routes. Typically what the offense wants to do is isolate this receiver up here, because most of the time, especially when you have a Gronk or an Edelman, the coverage is going to be so concerned with this 3 receiver side. So, and on this play, Gilmore's tight in coverage, doesn't really use his hands here, so there's not much press, and allows Hogan to release inside nice and free. And again, it's tough to tell from the angle, but you'll see how much distance is between Hogan and Gilmore there.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so we'll look at it from another tighter camera angle, and this is zoomed in right on them. So you'll see it again, a nice clean release inside. Gilmore can't affect the route, and this is where Hogan is, very much missed in this, and in Buffalo, is the route running. I mean, that's beautiful. Sets him up inside, and then nice little arm over move, and turns Gilmore around. That's easy. This is 3rd and 10.
Stop it, Roy. If you could stop it, go a little bit. You can stop it right there.
Yep.
Just maybe one more frame. Yeah, I mean, right there. Stop right there. So this is what I'm talking about right there. Okay, so that's the problem. Bad technique. There's bad. If that's not bad technique written all over it, then I don't know what is.
Right.
But again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here. At the end of the day, I should say, we have to see what else we have. Do we entertain a trade with him, considering he's in the contract year? We're more than likely not re-signing him. Why not get anything we can for him? Is he
Right.
that big of a piece to the puzzle at this point, Eric? Is he expendable?
And that was a topic of the day, because you saw Jamie Collins get traded for a third round pick, to
Right.
Cleveland, and that guy was in a contract year, and obviously was expendable to the Patriots, but and they're playing that game. The Patriots are playing that game where, you know what, we're not going to pay this guy. Why not get something
Right.
for him? And we're going to get it. We're going to get that draft pick this year instead of maybe the year after in a compensatory pick. So I mean,
Yep.
I think that's a train of thought that I'm sure Doug Whaley is expressing right now, and he may even be on the phones right now trying to make a move with him. Should they? I mean, again, I'm on the fence. I trust Doug Whaley, and with the way that Gilmore's played this year, I don't think.
Any team wants to give up anything substantial to get him.
Yeah, that
I don't
too.
know.
That too. I mean, what are you going to get from him? Are you going to get picks, or are you going to get a receiver? You know what I mean? Because there's been talks of that.
Right.
Why not trade him for a receiver? Which that would be tough to translate, because, again, we talked about this on the last podcast. Playing receiver takes a lot more time to adjust versus, corner, if you're going to throw a corner and they're on a team, so you'll get more immediate value. But I mean, it's a train of thought. I mean, do you trade away Gilmore right now because you're not going to sign him? Do you feel that you're not going to sign him? Well, then get something out of it. I mean, it's
Right.
a rational question,
This is what you got to think of. You got a couple scenarios in front of you. You got all right, do we keep Gilmore and get picks and build towards the future?
Right.
And how high of a pick are you getting? And then two is, do you want a receiver if you trade for him? And if you don't, you're wondering, okay, is Watkins coming back this year? Is a guy like Kobe Listenby, is he going to see the field this year? Is he someone we have stashed in our back pocket that could pop this year? I don't know. I don't know what these guys look like. So, I mean, if we're serious, and I think, and we talked about this 2-3 weeks ago, Eric, is what's the record going to be after the Seattle game?
All right.
Are we going to be 5-3 or 4-5 or what? It's not looking good, Eric. I mean, to go across the country right now it's not going to be easy. So, for me, if I'm the Bills, I'm getting what I can for Gilmore, and it's not the best time to sell him because the stock isn't very high.
Right. I mean, like I said, I entertain that train of thought. I can't disagree with it, because at this, with the trade deadline being hours away now, it's 12:40 a.m. on Tuesday. You got to explore all avenues, and that is definitely being discussed. How can it not be, when, especially a guy like Doug Whaley, he likes making trades. So that idea has crossed his table. So, and this is the play he gave up to Hogan, which infuriates me, and we're going to get to it. But again, you'll see the same formation, same down and distance, third and long. And again, it's not the all 22 angle, but the Bills bring Roby Coleman on a blitz. They drop Jerry Hughes. And what ends up happening here, because they lined up late, there was some kind of confusion on the coverage. What ends up happening is it's man coverage across the board here. Darby's going to have Edelman. Graham's going to have Amendola. And Zach Brown's going to have Gronk. And Hughes actually, drops into the middle zone to take away the middle. And, of course, we're going to have Gilmore versus Hogan at the top of the screen. And look it's hard to hate on this guy, because look how calm he is in the pocket, man. Slides up just a little bit. That peripheral vision to slide up just a little bit. As Preston Brown put a really nice move. Spin move. I mean, look at the spin move he does. That's really nice. Gets right into the face of Brady. Brady just slides up and delivers a perfect pass. And now I'm going to go into detail on this pass from the other camera angle, because it was beautiful. And it was set up by a really good route run by Hogan, and some really bad play by Gilmore, honestly. So off the snap, he's playing off coverage, which we've discussed. He's not the best at doing that, but he's in decent position. He's got a little outside leverage, and Hogan wants to get inside him. So he does, of course, which he's good at, gets his hands on him. So, and he redirects him. And while he's doing that redirect, like we said he's good at that. So he's got his eyes on the quarterback, redirects Hogan. And if you look at where he is on the field, he's, halfway between the sideline and the numbers down here at the bottom of the screen. So you see that's where he wants to be in his route. That's where the route stem needs to be. Gilmore does a really good job of redirecting him. You see right now he's right at the edge of the numbers. But as Hogan clears Gilmore's looking back in the backfield. He's in a trail technique, not in bad position, not out of phase yet. You see Hogan looking to Meeks. And Meeks, again, from what Rex had said in his press conference, doesn't sound like Meeks was supposed to be over the top. Doesn't sound like it was really his guy. But you see Hogan, he just peeks right at Meeks. As soon as he clears him, he's looking at him, and he knows that as soon as he's past Gilmore, he's beat. He's got him beat. And that savvy route runner, he knows the ball's in the air. You'll see him make his way back to his route stem. You see him make his way right back to the middle of between the numbers and the sideline. And that's what separates. I mean, Hogan runs like 4.5 something. He's not the fastest guy, right?
No.
He relies on his
savvy though.
He's man, really savvy. And Gilmore is looking for help. Meeks is looking for help.
Meeks is literally looking for help. Like, he's like, somebody cover this guy.
Yeah. I honestly don't know what happened here. This is bad. It's a bad play from the get-go. They didn't line up correctly.
Man.
The call supposedly didn't make it around to the other DB because there were 6 DBs in on this play. It supposedly didn't make it all the way around to the field to Gilmore, which is why the coverage was blown. But in the end, I didn't like Gilmore's okay, like you said, corners are going to get beat. DBs are going to get beat. But I think part of the reason why fans are so disappointed with his play this year, it's not just because he's been, getting torched deep, especially like the Jets game or whatnot, but it's plays like this. It's how he ends plays and how he throws his teammates under the bus. Okay, so Hogan catches it right around the 10. And Gilmore's at full speed trying to close that cushion, right? What is that?
Whoa. What?
I mean,
is that a trip? Is that a trip?
If he can trip him with his foot, why can't you dive and make that tackle?
But I think if you do another frame or two, is the part that look how close he is at one point.
Yeah.
And then he turns around.
Right there. You can see Hogan preparing for the hit, so he knows Gilmore's right on his tail, but instead Gilmore's, looking to his teammates on who blew the coverage. That's unacceptable. And, you asked me when we were going over what we're going to talk about tonight, you said he should be benched. And you know what? After watching this play, I would have benched him. Maybe even for a drive or two. But you need to see.
Yeah, maybe you do. And even if it's not, the whole game, of course. But, sit him for a drive or two, put another body out there, and you never know what might pop up,
Right.
And me, it is not – if that was the only time that's happened, I can maybe accept that.
Right.
But this happens all the time, Eric, and it's to the point now, and we're not even going over. He must have had at least 2 or 3 defensive holding calls as well. Maybe another pass interference penalty thrown in there too. I mean, can you get those stats in front of you by chance?
Yeah, I can look those up. And that's the thing. Like he's good with his hands when he's up close and personal. He's up in press, but when he gets in off coverage. When he has to read route combinations, for example, in quarters coverage where you got to read the slot receiver, the number 2 receiver, he just has trouble doing that. And it's disappointing to see, from a guy because he is talented. I mean, to a certain level, he is talented.
That's the problem.
And
that's what I keep going back to, which is it's tough to say this about him because he's got the talent. He seems like, he's got he's got good character, for whatever that means.
Right.
And so you like to see this guy do well. And his measurables at the combine are really good.
Right.
So to see a guy like Chris Hogan, an undrafted lacrosse player, torch you is concerning.
Yeah.
And I just recall – Stephen Hill, I don't know if you remember Stephen Hill. He's a wide receiver out of Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Got drafted by the Jets. First game with the Jets, and this is his best game to date. He's probably out of the league bagging groceries, Stephen Hill.
Yep.
2 touchdowns against who? Stephon Gilmore. And it's like, Jesus, are you going to let every, you let a rookie receiver just torch you? And this guy's out of the league already. Like, these are the kind of guys that are torching him.
Right.
And it's
Definitely
it's getting a
concerning,
little
man.
nauseating.
And according to Pro Football Focus, he's had 7 defensive penalties. They don't break it down exactly what penalty it is. He's had 7 defensive penalties, and he had 2 in this game. He had 2 in the Jets game, 2 of his worst games this year. So it kind of goes to show that he did struggle last game. There's no doubt about it. And especially, I mean, I'll give him that. Hogan had played a lot against him, and he probably knew how to set up Gilmore and whatnot. But you know what? Gilmore played against him too, so there's no excuse.
Right, there's not. And it wasn't just the bomb, and like you said, you showed that other clip of the out pattern,
Right.
and just totally, undressed him there. And it's plays like that are adding up and stacking up, and they're hard to overcome, man. And at some point, we need a guy on the edge, on the corners to make a play. And I don't want to let Ron Darby off the hook too easy either. He's made his fair share of pass breakups, and I'll give him credit, but
Right.
I need more from him too, Eric.
Yeah, he had a good second half, though. I mean, he did. Let's see here. He was targeted 5 times, gave up 2 for 17 yards and 1 pass deflection. So yeah, he got his hands on the ball. And he didn't give up much. I mean, it was only a 3.4-yard average. So, he played all right this game. Let's face it. In this defense, our corners are targeted. I mean, they are left on islands. They're going to be in man coverage a lot, and that's why when you look at their statistics, as far as coverage goes, they're some of the most targeted guys in the league, and they give up a lot of yardage. And I mean, you can't always look at stats. I understand that, but it does give you a sense on how much they're around the ball or they're not around the ball. So it gives you a good sense.
At what point do you and I know that this will go against the philosophy of Rex Ryan, but that's his philosophy, is to leave these corners on an island. So to cater around your personnel, which I think is the smart thing to do, or if you're not going to do that, to put someone else out there that can make a play. So, we'll see what happens this week. We'll see if he's on our team next week. We'll see if he bounces back.
Right.
And we need him to.
Yeah, I mean, and not having Aaron Williams definitely had something to do with the struggles.
Absolutely.
You don't want Meeks out there and Evan Blanton, who I've been kind of disappointed with this year. I mean, our safeties, they're pretty bad right now. Bad. So I'll give that to the corners. They haven't had much help, but hey, you play a premier position. Again, you can't make excuses. This is the NFL.
Right, and we touched on that last week, Eric, is behind our starting safeties, there's a lot of liabilities back there, man, and that's starting to get hard to overcome as well.
Yeah, especially when you play a team like, as deep at the receiver and tight end. Yeah, as a Patriot. So, I mean, and the emotional leader that Aaron Williams is too, So I'd equate it to when we lost him last year and Kyle Williams for that matter. That does make a difference whether you want to, believe it or not. I mean, look at some of the late alignments and whatnot that occurred in that Patriots game. That kind of stuff, doesn't usually occur when you have a veteran back there that knows the defense. So you can attribute some of that to those guys too.
Absolutely, and we'll see. I mean, we're so beat up right now, Eric. It is kind of tough but not really on our defense, really, aside from Williams. I know Lorenzo got hurt. I didn't hear much about his status. Have you heard anything about him?
I believe it's just a hamstring injury, and it's probably one of the, those day-to-day things that we're going to have to just wait and see approach, the wait and see approach to what we're dealing with McCoy too. So I know they had the press conference today, and haven't had a chance to go look at those transcripts or just to listen to it just because I had to work. But I'm sure it's like those soft tissue injuries, man. I mean, I'd be surprised if it's nice that we have a bye week coming up, but I don't think it's even with that. I don't think it'll be completely healed.
No, for sure. And it's tough because we need McCoy back. He's been the catalyst of that little run we were on.
Right.
That little defense, of course. And I don't think our defense played horrible yesterday. I think we put ourselves in bad situations. I think we played good against the run yesterday, for the most part. Um, I just think we had some chips fall, not our way yesterday on defense. So if we had McCoy back, that is the piece to our puzzle.
Yeah.
Period. No matter any way you want to slice it, 40 to 50% of our offense has to go through Shady, and without him on our team, you just cannot make up that kind of production. And
Right.
he keeps drives alive, Eric. And what's that do? That just continues to build momentum, keeps your offense on the field, keeps your defense fresh, and we haven't had that in 2 weeks.
No, especially against the Patriots, man. I mean, they're so sound defensively. And, when we're trying to run the ball, yeah, they could have the box stacked. But the thing with Shady McCoy is he can make that one guy, whose
Right.
gap that is, miss. That's all you need.
Right.
And that's all you need. When you have a sound defense like that, if you have a back that can make a difference and make a guy miss, that's an assignment breaker. And you can't game plan for that,
You
So
can't.
you're
And
right.
that's what we're missing, man.
Yeah, definitely missing him, and that's our production. He obviously makes the offense run. But, well, it was nice talking to you again, John. We'll do this again next week. We have Seattle coming up here in a few days, so it was nice talking to you, man. We'll be in touch.
Sounds good, bud. We'll see you.
Yeah.